everybody. Welcome to Talking Heartland. This is the show where we are recapping the show Heartland, and we are on season 5, episodes 4 through 6. It's a lot of fun. These are some pretty good episodes, and I am film critic Rachel Wagner, and Michelle is here.
Hey everyone.
Yes, how you been doing?
Good.
You hanging in there?
We're almost out of lockdown, so
good. That seems like it's been forever. I mean, I'm sure more
yeah.
so for you.
Yeah, England's already out. Scotland's like a week behind, so
Okay. Yeah, well, it was very exciting this week for me. I went to a play for the first time in a long time. So that was pretty exciting. I went and saw Les Miserables, which is my favorite. So it was pretty cool.
yeah, that's a good one. That's a good first one back.
I know it. Well, and it's such kismet because it's always been my favorite show since I was little and since I was in high school. And so for that to be the first one to see after the break, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it's my favorite as well.
I just love the message and I love the songs. So yeah, they managed in these episodes to introduce me to more different forms of rodeo. I never thought that I would learn so much.
I had to look up so many things.
I know.
Wait, what?
Yeah, especially in this first episode. It's episode 4. It's called Beyond Hell's Half Mile. And they evidently, it's a whole thing, riding these chuck wagons as a race. You do the barrel races with the chuck wagons. I'd never heard of that.
Yeah, they'd mentioned chuck wagons in a previous episode, and I just assumed it was pulling a wagon. I didn't imagine it was like a really dangerous race.
I know. I'm like, what is that? The summary on IMDb for this one is: when Amy works with a chuck wagon horse, she discovers an impediment that could put the entire team in danger and change the dynamics of a prominent chuck wagon family. Meanwhile, everybody at Heartland deals with sleep deprivation as Lou and Peter desperately try to get their baby to sleep at night. Mallory thinks she found a solution, but her sleep training method ends up pitting Lou and Peter against each other, and Caleb surprises Ty when he returns home to the trailer from the West Coast without Ashley. So, overall, what did you think of this episode?
I like this episode. I like the kind of the story of what was his name? The father and son,
Keith,
Reed and Brock.
Oh, Reed, yeah, that's right, Reed and Brock. Yeah, what did I say, Keith?
Yeah, I liked that part of it. I would have liked that to be more of the episodes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I realised that they're just sort of still getting our ducks in a row for the season. So,
well, I was wondering what you would think of it because I know you said you weren't really into kind of the baby tropes that you have. So this didn't win you over?
I would have liked it to be a bit more kind of like play into the comedy a little bit more of like.
Oh yeah.
It got kind of serious. Because like you said, it was kind of pitting them against each other. I wasn't loving that part of the episode, I'll be honest, but I do like that we are getting more of Peter and kind of see who he is kind of as an individual and not a businessman.
Yeah, I do like that better than season 4 because it was just kind of like he would kind of come in and out every now and then. It just seemed like they were repeating the same story over and over and over again of how committed is Lou to the marriage, and then we'd get something else, and then she would be, and then we'd have another scene of them reconciling, and then the next episode it would be her struggling, and then they'd reconcile, and it was just like getting very cyclical. It kind of made me laugh seeing them trying to get baby Catherine to sleep, because this is sort of similar to, there's a famous story in my family of I was terrible about going to sleep. I've had literally insomnia my whole life. I've always struggled to sleep, even when I was little. And and I guess one time my grandmother thought that my parents were being too soft with me, And so she's like, I'll get her to go to bed. I'll get her to go to sleep. And she she went in, and it was, she was gonna do it. And then she came out a defeated woman. She couldn't do it. She couldn't get me to go to sleep. And so I don't know. I mean, I'm not a parent, and everybody has to parent in differently, but I've heard mixed results about this cried out
Yeah.
the style.
Yeah, I was a bit nervous about kind of talking about this kind of stuff because, yeah, I'm not a parent. I've never really
Right.
been around babies. It's not really something that I feel like I could pass judgment on,
Mm-hmm.
or even kind of have an opinion on. But
I've
I
heard,
do kind of see both sides of
yeah,
of the argument.
I've heard from some people that it has worked and that they're able to get their kids on a routine like that. But then I've heard of other people that it did not work at all. And so, everybody has to decide what they want to do. But I don't know. Man, I don't think I could do it with,
Yeah,
I don't know, just I think it would be too hard. And there's some things that I've read that the idea of sort of the family bed of having the baby just sleep with the parents is actually can be a good thing, can be a good, but obviously there's all different kinds of theories. But Mallory finds this book and gives it to Lou and Peter. And I do think that most of those books are pretty not great. I think you have to, because there's like a system of parenting, but like your child is not a system. Like you have to decide what's best for your child and not what some system is telling you to do.
yeah, and every child is individual, and
Hmm.
especially at that age, you just kind of have to figure out your child, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it was pretty funny though with Lou putting the coffee in her cereal. It's like, because I think that is brutal part of parenting is that is just not having sleep is just so hard.
Yeah, and especially when there's so many people in that house, and she must have felt like
Hmm.
she was depriving all of them of sleep.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, why was Mallory there just to help, or her parents were gone, or why was she sleeping over?
Yeah, that's something I wanted to bring up as well. I just find it so comedic. Like every few episodes, like Mallory's there for no reason, and they always like come up with a reason of
Yeah.
why she's here. And I think this bunch of episodes, it was her grandmother's visiting, and she's really getting on her nerves, and so that's why
Oh,
she's
that's right.
who's
And
like sleeping on the couch or something to give.
yeah, and she says it's the ranch of the living dead over here. That was a pretty funny line. And then they go to this plot line with the chuck wagon, and this guy I wrote down because I didn't know his name for a lot of it. I said I called him the crazy man on the wagon. He was intense.
Oh my god, yeah, he was. That's why I kind of wish they'd had more of this in the episode, because there's no way you could really get a sense of who this guy was apart from that kind of initial first couple of scenes with him, where he's just like so intense. It kind of like switched the whole tone of the show, the whole episode.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean he was I don't know, he was a very angry man.
Yeah.
And I don't know, you almost worried for people's safety. He was so intense. You had this kind of, I thought, a little strange scene of Amy and Ty in the trailer. And I don't know, I just thought they're like cuddling and she wants him to, to nap with her. And I don't know, I
Hmm.
thought that scene was a little awkward.
Yeah, I think it's kind of what we were talking about last week. They're just kind of skirting around it, and not really kind of saying one way or the other where they are in the relationship.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so it'll be interesting because even like Caleb kind of assumes that things are more advanced than I think it is on the show. I don't know. I think
Right.
if it was that far, then they would tell us.
Yeah, I would think so too. So it's just like this weird kind of we're
It's
hanging
like, yeah,
out, and I don't know. I felt like it was awkward.
yeah, you could kind of see the writing there.
Hmm. And so then Caleb comes back, and he says that he and Ashley are on a break. And I guess are we done? You think seeing Ashley? Is she done?
I'm gonna be
Mm-hmm.
so disappointed if it turns out, yeah, she's done. But I think with the way things go in the third episode, they're kind of setting up Caleb to just have his own thing now. It really feels like that storyline's done, which is a shame. It feels really kind of abrupt.
That's a shame. I mean, I never really thought they had the best chemistry, but still, I mean, it seems kind of cheap for us to believe that they had literally just gotten married and
And
things
it's this
already.
thing of like, this just happened off screen as well. This is why
Hmm.
it's so hard to connect with them. So much of their development happens off screen.
Hmm. Yeah, it's true. It's true. And he says campus life just wasn't for this cowboy.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was kind of lame.
Yeah. And I think for me, like Cindy's kind of the most dynamic and kind of the most dynamic kind of actress, but also has had the most development in terms of character among the young cast.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it'll be sad that this is kind of the end of
Yeah, it's too
the end of
bad.
Ashley.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And Jack, I thought was so cute when he was holding and singing to baby Catherine. That was really cute. Valerie was being pretty difficult, I thought. Pretty bossy.
Yeah. Sometimes they can't quite get the balance on on Mallory's kind of nosy neighbor, kind of busybody, kind of personality. Sometimes they hit the tone perfectly, and sometimes it's a bit over the top and a bit forced.
Hmm. Yeah, and for the most part, I love Mallory, but sometimes it's like I don't think a teenager. Of course, a lot of teenagers tend to think they know everything, but would she really care that much about the baby? I don't know. I guess she maybe wants to sleep or whatever, but I don't know. She was a lot in this episode.
And we're just assuming that like the Dude Ranch is like fully booked, because every time something like this
Right,
happens, I'm like, why aren't you staying at the at the Dude Ranch? Why aren't you like taking a night off there?
right. Yeah. And so then we see Jack looking through the photos of his Chuck Wagon family, and he has photos of the of what I keep forgetting his name of
Read.
Reed, and because Amy's getting really frustrated, and so he tries to tell her like he's just that he has a lot of wounds and is but there's a good person in there is kind of the message. And but this guy Reed, he won't let his son lead the Chuck wagon,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't think that he's ready, won't give him the chance. But Amy starts to realize that the problem is this guy Reed, he has problems with his eyesight.
Yeah, yeah. I think she says it's the man, it's not the horse. She's really,
Hmm.
yeah. I was really worried about her having to confront him on this. I was like, oh god, I wouldn't want to be in her position. Have that
Yeah,
conversation with this guy.
if it's not the horse, it might be the driver,
Mm-hmm.
and he is not receptive of her advice in this. But then now we have Caleb. He is working again at Heartland, and he's gonna stay in the loft because Ty has the trailer.
I don't know
And
how many times he's quit his job and got it back.
I know it's
You keep
true.
an account.
Yeah. I thought it was funny when I think it was Mallory who says that Jack sings off key, and then he
Yeah.
says later, he's like, "Do I sing off key?" And then Mallory banishes Peter from the house. uh, and we get a nice conversation between Lou and Jack, and he says, "Truth be told, always tore me apart to hear Lou and Amy cry. I know, I guess this was between Peter and Jack. There's no right way to parent. And that's the thing. That's the most important message, is that just because it worked for somebody in a book or somebody else that you know, doesn't mean that it's for your child.
Yeah, we've got some good Peter and Jack scenes in these episodes as well. I think that's really helped
Yeah,
on Peter as well.
I think so too. And Caleb says, sometimes when things break, they don't fix so well. So more bad news on the part of Ashley. And I then Lou tears up the book and just shreds the thing. That was pretty good. And Reed finally lets Brock drive, and he does a good job. And Mallory says to Jack, "You are a total pain in the butt when you don't get enough sleep." And then you get a scene where Caleb almost throws his wedding ring in the pond, but he decides to hold on to it. So yeah, this episode, it was pretty good. It was fine. I'd probably give this one a 7.
Yeah, same. I gave it a 7 as well.
Have you got a Hallmarky, Hardy, Postable, or Sleuther in your life? Are you looking for the perfect gift for your loved one? Look no further than the Hallmarkies Podcast merch store. We have designs from artists like Jessica Miller and Carrie at Hallmark Comics. At the store, you can declare your team, like hashtag Team Lucas or hashtag Team Nathan. And you can also have your hashtag shirts with hashtag Postables, hashtag Hardies, hashtag Goodies. We've got the Love Me Like series where you can get designs such as Love Me Like Nick Loves Aurora. And there's also great stories beyond Hallmark, like Anne and Gilbert from Anne of Green Gables, or even Han and Leia from Star Wars. And it's not just shirts, but notebooks, mugs, pillows, and cell phone cases. Your support of the merch store helps keep the podcast going, and we are so appreciative. There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/hallmarkies or follow the link in the description. That's tpublic.com/stores/hallmarkies.
All right. So then we have season 5, episode 5, Never Let Go. Okay, this one, Amy helps to restore the confidence of a troubled young trick writer so that she can get back on her horse and perform again. Meanwhile, Ty and Amy's plans to raise the spirits of a freshly separated Caleb with the night out on the town go completely awry, and Jack is so fed up with the full house at Heartland, along with the lineups for the bathroom, that he decides to build an outhouse. Peter gets Jack's hint and comes up with an interesting housing idea for Lou. So, what did you think overall of this one?
Yeah, I like this one as well. Again, I think the side story of the horse chaplain was probably my favorite part. It's because again it just brought in like a whole different part of equestrian world that we didn't know anything about.
Yeah.
Or at least I didn't know anything about. And I kind of liked the kind of Ty, Caleb, Soraya kind of scenes as well. So yeah, overall I like this one.
I liked it pretty good. I think that it had some good character development and some good moments for Jack, which I was like, I didn't realize that they only had one bathroom at the house till this
Yeah,
episode.
you would think they would have. Well, I guess it's like a single story house, isn't it? So yeah, it makes sense.
I figured they'd have a master bath and then one. I figured they have 2 bathrooms, but I guess they just have one.
Yeah, that's
And
brutal.
and I kind of wondered why this wouldn't have come up before, because at certain points they had 2 people in the loft when Badger was there. So
yeah, there were always kind of a lot of people in the house over the summers as well whenever they would have people. So yeah.
And I guess they just never had anybody to take long showers like Caleb. There's a luau night at the local pub, and so Ty wants to get Caleb and Soraya to go. And I wish that we'd have an episode kind of on Soraya. I feel like she's probably the secondary character that we've gotten to know the least about. She's kind of in there. She's always a character that is there just to, I don't know, provide some kind of conflict or some kind of like she never has her own story.
No. Yeah, and I got kind of frustrated, like our first scene with Amy, and we're assuming that she's just back from like a long trip. Like there was literally like one line of dialogue, and then Amy kind of jumps into like what's going on with this horse, and I'm like, we didn't even have like a conversation about, you know, what her trip was like, or really anything about her life, how long she's back for. We don't really know anything.
Yeah, we don't know what happened with Chase. We don't know what happened. And so now they're setting her up as a love interest for Ty, and it's like, I don't know. That feels a little weird.
Yeah.
So Jack wants to rebuild the outhouse that was there, and so he starts working on that. That was interesting. that was some good stuff from Jack.
I think he just wanted to get out of the house completely.
I think so too. And as Mallory says, I'm documenting this is slow descent into madness. and then so Caleb says that they are separated officially, that it's not just a break. And he is they're sort of flirting with Soraya, and she gives him extra bacon. So I guess that was encouraging for him. And you find out that Mallory evidently is the world's best babysitter. She's like, get out of the house. And they start looking for a house because it's too full. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of on the Cosby Show. They would come up with all of these reasons why, as the kids got older, they would need to kind of come up with all of these reasons of why they were still in the house, you know, like why there was always something that would stop Denise or Sandra from moving out of the house. You know, it's like,
yeah, they're kind of doing that on the Goldbergs the last couple of seasons, of just like keeping those older kids around for as long as they can.
That's a good comparison. That's true. So then we meet this woman who has this horse named Chaplin, and Amy figures it out that it's a trick horse because it only wants to go counterclockwise, which I know I thought that was interesting. It's amazing that there's that trainable, you know, they only want to go counterclockwise.
Yeah, I think when they're in that kind of round pen, they're kind of, I guess it's just kind of like a muscle memory of them just going the one way.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Crazy. Yeah.
So there is this woman named Sandra, and her sister had died in a car accident, and they had done trick riding together. And after that, she couldn't do it anymore, and so she ended up becoming a dancer. And that, I don't know, that was a pretty good storyline. And it turns out, I was looking, and Sandra is actually a recurring character. We're going to see her again.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
I suppose we're getting more trick riding then.
Yeah. I mean, and then Amy does trick riding. And I don't know who the stunt doubles obviously were doing the trick riding, but they were very, very good.
Yeah, I did see, I'm not sure where I saw it. I was looking at a comments on the episode, and like somebody did catch that when it cut from like Amy to the stunt double, like Amy's hair went into a braid.
Oh yeah, I didn't notice that, but
I didn't see either. I just thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah. They were very good. Especially the Sandra one, that was incredible.
Yeah, crazy. So
Mhm.
fast.
So fast. And like, how do you even stay on one? They'd have 1 foot on at times. I mean, it was.
Like it's like Amy does it, and it's like we're just to assume that she's not done this in years, or she's done it maybe once or twice, because we've not seen it on the show before. But yeah, she's just like leaping all over the place. It's like, oh my god.
Yeah, it was incredible. And but she gets really upset at first. She takes the horse away. She says, I just want to sell the horse, and how dare you go talk to my mother. And Amy's trying to get her to understand that she says, you aren't going to be alone. Chaplin will be right there beside you.
Yes, I
So
think initially Amy's plan was to rehome it with somebody else that can have trick rides, because she kind of says like, if you don't want to trick ride, that's okay, but the horse wants to. Like, it
yeah.
must be so much hard work to like train that out of the horse.
Yeah. And she says, don't take that away from Chaplin.
Mm-hmm.
And don't. And so then Caleb meets a woman at the bar
Mm-hmm.
named Kelly. And then he goes home and he throws up in the barn and is on the hay. And Jack is disgusted. and, and so he says that he's going to punish Caleb for this behavior. And he says, there's nothing. And the Kelly lady says, nothing has happened here. And he's like, I believe you. Let's see here. Then Peter, he tells Lou that they should build a house on Heartland property and not leave it to anybody else, and that he has experience renovating homes. And she says, 6 months from now, I don't want to have to call Mike Holmes. And that was a throwback to, there's an HGTV show. I think it was Holmes on Homes. And this guy, Mike Holmes, he would go in and he would fix bad rehabs, bad renovations, and fix all the mistakes that people made. So that was sort of the joke of like, I hope I don't have to call him to fix all the mistakes you make. So that
It
was pretty
seems
good.
really confident. Seems
I
really
know.
confident for somebody that's never built a house before.
Yeah. I mean, and what is he doing now? Does he have a job?
No, because they put the offer in on the house with money that they'd loaned from his parents.
Yeah.
And then they didn't get the house, so I'm assuming that they're using that loan to build the house.
Yeah. I mean, I would think it would be hard to get a loan even with the borrowed money, because you usually have to show proof of employment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Before you get a loan. So, but anyway, and you do get the end with Jack locking Caleb in the outhouse. That was kind of funny.
Yeah. I thought his whole storyline this episode was kind of strange. They had him kind of be really kind of flirty and aggressive with Soraya, and then it kind of switched to Kelly, and I was like, oh god. Hopefully they figure out something to do with him this season that isn't him just kind of, being a bit of a mess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, what would you give this one?
Yeah, I'll give this one. I gave this one an 8.
I think I'll give it I also give it a 7. That I gave the first one. I liked it just about the same for me. But let's move on to The Slippery Slope. This was definitely my favorite of 3.
Me too.
Personally.
Yeah, I think this is my favorite of the season so far.
Yep, me too. And it's a friend from Jack's past shows up at Heartland when one of their old bandmates passes away. Lou and Lisa secretly try to gather the other remaining members for a reunion performance to celebrate Jack's birthday. Meanwhile, Amy works with a horse that won't stop bucking as Caleb becomes smitten with Kelly, the horse's sassy and attractive owner. And Mallory meets a young country singer wannabe who seems like her perfect match, except for the fact that he idolizes her dad. So overall, you like this episode, your favorite of the season so far?
Yeah, I thought this one had kind of everything. Had a good kind of side story, had a good, especially because it was Jack kind of at the centre of the episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And I like Kelly. I think I'm interested to see what they do with her. I think she's in a few more episodes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. I don't like that they're doing another love triangle with Mallory. But we'll see where it goes. But everything else I thought was fantastic.
Yeah. And yeah, it starts out with Jack and Tim moving the cows and Tim just complaining. And I think that Tim, this was a pretty good episode actually for Tim. And when he is holding little Catherine, that was so cute later
Yeah.
on. That
Yeah.
was so cute. And him being the grandpa and everything. And he's driving Jack crazy, but it's a good dynamic. It's always entertaining.
Yeah. I like that he's finally kind of embracing being a grandpa.
Mm-hmm.
Because he just was not thrilled about it initially.
Yeah. And Mallory meets a new kid named Austin who has red hair. And now this is what the third possible relationship for Mallory on the show. We've had Jake, we have Badger, and now Austin.
Mm-hmm.
And Austin is very impressed by the fact that her dad is a singer, is the singer, and he keeps trying to kind of get get Mallory to influence her dad and listen to his album and everything. And I don't know, what do we think about that?
Again, I'm not loving the fact that it's another love triangle.
Mm-hmm.
Where I suppose the end up is that she's going to end up with Jake, and it's like, just do it. It's like, we know that's where it's going, and for them to kind of, I mean, I suppose it's kind of different in the sense of like Badger did genuinely really like Mallory,
Mm-hmm.
whereas this guy's just a total opportunist. So we'll sort of see where it goes, but yeah, I'm not loving the love triangle aspect of it, but
Yeah, same. Well, and then Jack says that it's not how old you are, it's how old you feel. So that's good. And we learned that Jack was in a band. Did we know that he was in a band previous to this?
we knew that he toured with his wife. I'm not sure if that was in the form of him being in a band as well.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that he toured in the rodeo, but yeah, I'm not sure if we know that he sang before. He's sang before in the show, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think this is the first mention of like a band.
Yeah, it's called the Gents. And the singer, or one of the singers, George Tuttle, he dies. And so Jack's getting ready to go to the funeral of his friend, and there's a man named Eli there who is kind of a mess.
Yeah.
But used to be in the band.
Yeah, I thought he's such a talented actor. He's been in kind of everything.
Oh, really?
I think he passed away a couple of years ago, but he was just one of these like character actors that was in pretty much every TV show. He was in Battlestar Galactica for like
Oh, yeah.
seasons. He played like the Doctor really good. He plays this kind of character really well, where he's just really gruff but sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was nice to see him.
Yeah, he was a little bit hard to figure out, like how I wasn't sure if he was about to do something kind of more devious, but it turns out it was kind of more just hiding the fact that he had cancer.
Mm-hmm.
That was sort of but I felt like, oh, is he going to steal something? Or I don't know. There was just something about him that I didn't really trust him as a character.
Mm-hmm.
But he gives Lou and Lisa the information for the other members of the band, so they can have this reunion birthday party. But Jack doesn't want a birthday party, and he gets kind of frustrated at first, but then he has a change of heart and tells Lisa, you can go out and do the party. So that was a nice little arc for Jack.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that. The scene that he had with Eli, where Eli just kind of says, he's so lucky to have all these people around him, and he might not want the party aspect, might not be Jack's thing, but he's so fortunate to have all of these people around him, especially when you look at someone like Eli, who's kind of on his own. Yeah, it was a good scene for Jack, and I like that he kind of went and apologized to Lisa.
Yeah, and he says, "Don't go there. Believe me, that slippery slope will come soon enough." And that's where we get the name of the episode. And Amy starts to worry that she's not spontaneous enough for Ty, and they get this mechanical bull, and she goes on it at the party, and that's kind of a big step for her.
Yeah, I like this for Amy. I thought this was one of the more interesting things that she's actually got to do on the show. A bit of character development in terms of because it felt really genuine as well. I think a lot of people feel that. I've certainly felt that in life, where you just kind of feel like, am I boring? Am I boring?
Because you never, and she even says that, I never want to be boring.
Yeah.
And Ty reassures her that she's not boring. I mean, she does all this with all these horses that is pretty exciting. So I think she wouldn't be somebody I would think was boring, but anything can get kind of repetitive after a while, I guess.
Yeah, and I suppose he's off kind of in university and sort of forging this kind of vet career, and she's sort of where she's always been. So it's understandable that she would kind of get to that kind of mindset.
Yeah. So Jake's getting a little bit jealous of Austin. And like you said, we get this kind of beginning of the love triangle between the three of them. I think she definitely should pick Jake over Austin.
More screen time with Jake. I just like that character, and I wish he was in the show a bit more.
I know. Well, I guess I always have a struggle a little bit when you have characters as young as Mallory having these intense relationships. I don't know. It's just not something I relate to very much. I didn't really know anybody who had that kind of intense. Most of my friends, they might have boyfriend, girlfriends, but it was, I don't know. It's not an adult relationship.
Yeah, I'd like to see him even just have something separate from Mallory, or just something about his life. We don't really know anything really about him.
Right. Yeah, I agree. And so then Eli, he says that that Jack's always wanted to run away from problems, because he got upset about the idea of the party, and that's when he says that, believe me, that slippery slope will come soon enough. And he says, what are you going to do? Close up the bar before the last call just because you imagine you're on the edge of some slippery slope? So then he finds out that Eli has cancer, and so that makes him apologize to Lisa, because he kind of realizes that he's lucky to have people who care about him that much. And the party looked pretty fun, I'd say. I don't want to go to that party.
Yeah, a lot of people at this party. Small party.
Yeah. I mean, they got the tents up, and they had mechanical bull. It looked pretty fun.
Yeah, it looked really fun.
Dancing. And you have the Jake cutting in on Mallory and Austin. And he tries to tell her that Austin's only hanging out with her to give the demo. And then we get the gents playing, and Amy sings. Who knew Amber Marshall could sing? It's her first time on the show, right? Singing?
I think, did she sing at the wedding? The Ashley and Caleb's wedding?
If they did, I didn't remember it. But
I think it might have been just Jack.
Yeah, we've heard Jack sing.
Yeah, that might have been that. But yeah, she's really good.
Yeah, sounded good to me. And then you have Kelly punching Caleb, and Caleb's like, I think I'm in love, which was a lame line.
Yeah.
and she says, I don't date married men. So you also see more of Amy continuing to train Spartan in the Liberty Horse training that we got at the beginning of the season. She shows it to Jack. So yeah, that's how the episode ends. And so I liked this one. I thought this one was good. I'd give it 8.5.
I went with 9.
Oh yeah, it's high. I can see that. So there we go.
I think the singing won me over.
Yeah, it was good singing. It really was. So there we go. That was this episode. Let us know what you think of these 3 episodes. Which one is your favorite and what score you would give them? We would really appreciate it. And how can people find you, Michelle?
On Twitter at Michelle R. Benson.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So please check that out. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave us your ratings and reviews. We really appreciate it. And if you are listening on YouTube, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. We also have our Patreon group, which is really fun. And we have our merch store, which has Heartland inspired merch. So check that out. And thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you all next week. And bye.
Bye, everyone.